We are just over 4 hours away from tonight's presidential debate, and joining us from the University of Mississippi is Nicole Wallace, Senior McCain Advisor. Nicole, just before that commercial, we were hearing Barney Frank say that it's his understanding that the House Republicans who are joining the negotiations, that they will still have to accept the underlying core of the Paulson plan. In other words, the idea that the government will be buying up some of these troubled loans and debts. Is that something that John McCain supports?
Well, you know, John McCain's role in this, I think, has been to articulate principles and to stand up for the little guy, to make clear that the taxpayers must be protected. And, you know, I think that his decision to suspend his campaign, head back to Washington and play a constructive role is one that we're not pounding our chests about. And so I think part of that is that we won't comment on every little twist and turn of the negotiation. I think in leaving Washington, we'll allow the parties that are there to continue to try to hammer out the details, and we were honored to participate in that process yesterday and to have some meetings this morning.
On the decision to attend the debate after John McCain asked that the debate be postponed earlier this week until the crisis is resolved.
Well, let me correct you. Let me correct. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, if you want to correct me, he said we must meet until this crisis is resolved, didn't he?
Well, he said we must postpone the debate until the crisis is addressed, and I think that he feels
no.
like
He said we must meet until the crisis. No. He said, and we have it on tape. We can play it for you. We must meet until this crisis is resolved.
Why don't you play it for me?
All right, we'll get the tape. You guys in the control room, why don't you rack up the tape of John McCain on Wednesday? We used it in the open, and we'll get that. While we're getting that queued up, I want to ask you about Craig Shirley. Craig Shirley, the former McCain advisor, said that John McCain's decision to attend said, quote, "It just proves his campaign is governed by tactics and not ideology. In the end, he blinked and Obama did not. The steady hand in his storm argument looks now to more favor Obama, not McCain." Your reaction to Craig Shirley?
I have no idea who Craig Shirley is. I've never heard of him. What is the question about
he's a former John McCain advisor.
Okay, never heard of him. Is your question about John McCain's response to a national crisis and his decision at the moment to abandon his campaign to try to address that crisis? Was that
no? The question is whether you agree or disagree with Craig Shirley when he says that the move to attend the debate proves that John McCain's campaign. All right, well, never mind Craig Shirley. If any Republican were to say, as many of them are today, that John McCain's decision to attend the debate proves his campaign is governed by tactics and not ideology, how would the McCain campaign respond?
Well, look, I travel all over this country with Senator McCain, and I don't think any voter out there who's worried about losing his home, keeping his job. I think people actually worry that their ATM cards might not work if we don't address this crisis. So I don't think people are, you know, at the kitchen table wondering if it was a tactic or an ideology that led John McCain to call off his campaign until some constructive progress was made toward finding a solution.
All right, John Nichols in the control room. Do we have that tape so we can clarify what exactly John McCain said a few days ago? Okay, let's play what we have. I'm not entirely sure, Nicole, if this is it, but let's go ahead and play this and see. Here it is from Wednesday.
Thank you so much.
We must meet as Americans, not as Democrats or Republicans, and we must meet until this crisis is resolved.
Okay, so that's it. There he said, Nicole, we must meet until this crisis is resolved. Is the crisis resolved?
No, we must continue to meet until the crisis is resolved. And after this debate tonight, we're heading back to Washington, and I think meetings will continue. If what you're getting at is how could we have this debate tonight without a solution and a bill having been signed into law, I'm happy to address that. I think that John McCain recognizes that people are hungry to see these two men stand toe-to-toe and contrast their different ideas and different approaches to addressing the challenges we face as a nation. But I think he also agrees that we must continue to meet until the crisis is resolved. So I think there was a feeling this morning that enough progress had been made. John McCain worked the phones, and he's very pleased that all the parties are represented. As you understand, there are 5 parties here. And I think John McCain wanted to make sure that they were all focused on the real people that we're working to help, and that's the little guys. So he thought it was important to have the House Republicans Republicans, the Senate Republicans, and Democrats obviously are well represented and coordinated, and the administration all at the table. And so we understood when we took
Look,
off from
Nicole,
Washington that was the case.
Fair enough. And look, I mean, you're all open to say that when John McCain is talking about we, that he was talking about the leaders and not always necessarily including himself. But we just wanted to make sure we clarify that. In any case, Nicole Wallace from the McCain campaign. Nicole, thanks for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And coming up in less than 10 minutes, Hardball with Chris Matthews, the Big Debate pregame show. Chris is live from Ole Miss in Oxford, Mississippi. Hardball and only on MSNBC starts in less than 10 minutes.